A very good afternoon, my dear YouTube friends. And welcome back to my channel. In this episode, I am on a mission to discover the ancient rock fortress of King Kashyapa I and try to get all the historical information possible. But that is not enough, I also will try to find the spiritual and geographical center, here on the island of Sri Lanka, so what are we waiting for? Come with me and let's explore it together. Now, the ancient rock fortress of King Kashyapa is of course, no other than the famous 5th century Sigiriya Rock, and also the 8th wonder of the world, according to the UNESCO. The dramatic vertical walls of the rock with its palace on top is an unmissable landmark, as it is towering nearly 200 meters above the ground, right here on this rocky plateau. I have been told that the history here is a complicated one. So I will try my best to explain it in easy terms. We know that this site functioned as a monastery as early as the 3rd century before Christ, as leading archaeologists found carved rock inscriptions and other important evidences. According to historians, Sigiriya remained as a monastery until King Kashyapa I decided to turn it into his capital in the 5th century Anno Domini. He wrongfully acquired the throne by overthrowing and imprisoning, and then later even immuring his father, King Datusana. Of course he also usurping his brother Moggallana, the actually rightful heir to the throne, in a palace coup. And as might be expected, after this events, the monks had no choice but to move to another temple, which was built by the king on the neighboring Aligala rock. King Kashyapa then completely changed the environment of Sigiriya, turning it into an extravagant pleasure palace, which was a far cry from the harsh and frugal conditions of the earlier monastery. Sigiriya was chosen because it is a large rock rising above the surrounding and wide-reaching plains. It is offering a truly unhindered view in all directions, and providing strategic advantage during a possible attack. Large gardens were built around the rock, with protective defensive walls and deep trenches around the city. The garden consisted of a number of pools, fountains and other structures, which were fueled by a complex underground irrigation system that supplied the water to the pools and fountains. And believe it or not, they are still functioning until the very day. According to the main chronicle of Sri Lanka, King Kashyapa I ruled Sri Lanka from 473 to 495 Anno Domini, and was the second king of Sri Lanka's royal Maurya dynasty. Moggallana, King Kashyapa's younger brother, fearing that he also would be assassinated, fled swiftly to South India, after the very brazen coup. 20 years later, Moggallana returned to Sri Lanka with an army of South Indian soldiers and the retention to reclaim his right to the throne. In the battle around the plains of Sigiriya, King Kashyapa's army was badly defeated. And as the story goes, the king tried a tactical move with his war elephants, which his troops mistakenly interpreted as a retreat, and all his soldiers abandoned him. But instead of being captured by his brother, the king killed himself with his own sword. And so, King Kashyapa's reign as the king of Sri Lanka ended with his own defeat in 495, and his brother and the rightful heir to the throne finally became the new king, known as King Moggallana I of the Kingdom of Sri Lanka. Later on, King Moggallana I abandoned the site of Sigiriya and returned to the capital city of Anuradhapura. And the Sigiriya rock and its surrounding areas were again handed back to the Buddhist monks. Unfortunately, King Kashyapa's excessive redesign of the main rock and gardens may not have boded well with the celibate monks. And it is believed that they may have destroyed many of the more sensuous elements of the site, so as not to distract themselves from their meditations. Sigiriya then remained a monastic center, until about the 13th or 14th century Anno Domini, after which, it disappeared from the historical records for a while. It then reappears again around the 16th and 17th centuries in the annals of the history books, when it was utilized as a distant military outpost during the Kingdom of Kandy. In geological terms, it is believed that the area around Sigiriya was rife with volcanic activity over 2 billion years ago, and that Sigiriya itself is a volcanic plug that rose 200 meters in height. And it most probably was formed when the hot magma reached the surface. It then cooled down, and was blocking the volcano's vent, which resulted in a pyroclastic granite rock that is much harder than the surrounding surface rocks. And so, over the times, the erosion broke up the surface rocks, and leaving the volcanic plug exposed as the rocky granite hill that we see until the very day. There is even further proof, by the numerous granite boulders scattered around Sigiriya, which are believed to be remnants of the lava that once flowed from the nearby volcanoes. And historians also believe that the environments around the area of Sigiriya may have been inhabited since prehistoric times. And as the excavations at the Aligala rock cave, located to the east of the main rock, have yielded much evidence of a proven human occupancy, since the early ages of the Mesolithic period, ranging approximately from the year of 10,000 to 8,000 before Christ, it is no wonder that this area is a place of great historic value, and not to be missed on your bucket list. Good afternoon to a new day and a new place to explore. My ride today throughout this beautiful country road will take me to the geographical center of Sri Lanka. But where and what is the geographical center of Sri Lanka? To make a long story short, The Geographical Center is a remarkable archaeological site called Nalanda Gedige that receive hardly any tourists. The reasons, I don't really know. Maybe it has to do with its geography and its ease of access. Although, to me, this is not the case with Nalanda, as it is quite an easy place to access. However, it seems to me that it is way off the beaten and well-promoted tourist tracks. Anyway, I think that Nalanda Gedige is certainly a place not to be missed, because it exhibits a composite style of architecture unique in the Sri Lankan history, as it is an extraordinary fusion of Hinduism and Buddhism shrine, located in an extremely picturesque and beautiful landscape. Yes, Nalanda Gedige is one of those places without much history, and the surprising lack of it made me even more mad, and made me dig in even further, getting some understandable knowledge regarding this shrine. Questions on why it was located at Nalanda thwarts those who wish to delve into its past like me. How did they know that they are exactly in the center of this island, called Sri Lanka? Even the estimates of its date of its construction couldn't be explained exactly. It varies from the 7th to the 11th centuries Anno Domini, and on top of it all, it still retains the unique appearance of mixing the features of the Hindu architecture with that of the Buddhist designs. Is anyone able to explain this to me? Well, now after a long drive and talking a lot too, I am finally arriving at the Nalanda Gedige, and this place is just magical. Not only is it considered the geographical center of Sri Lanka, but it is also a very unique place in the sense of its history and its location. The temple was constructed between the 8th and the 10th centuries, with a Dravidian architecture, which is a southern Indian temple style, and to be believed to have been used by the Buddhist monks of this time. And this was proven, according to a pillar inscription of the 9th to the 10th century Anno Domini, that was excavated from this site and revealing the temple complex as a Buddhist monastery. It was in a period of great turmoil for the island, because of the decline of the Sinhalese monarchies, giving the South Indian kings an opportunity to establishing themselves here in Sri Lanka as the new kings. Some historians even speculate that Nalanda Gedige was a courageous attempt to merge the Tamil and Sinhalese cultures, while others say the structure began as a Hindu temple, and built in the Pallava style, which was later used by the Buddhist monks. But even as of today, even the historians cannot tell us very much, as Nalanda Gedige was abandoned and forgotten, and the forest took control of the area, and engulfing the sanctuary in its deep and dark embrace. Centuries later, in 1893, a British explorer named Bell found the building in the deep jungle area near the city of Hunganwala, and made a concentrated effort to eradicate all the growth of the jungle above and around the ancient ruins. Bell also had plans to dismantle and move the entire facility to a more viable location. He felt that the temple was in a precarious position, an elevated area that could become unstable at any time, causing irreparable damage to Nalanda Gedige. But it took a long time, until in the 1980s, when the waters of the newly created Boa 10 Reservoir threatened to flood the sanctuary. And only then, finally the researchers took the opportunity to dismantle the ruins, and rebuild it on the reservoir containment wall, high above the waters. It was rebuilt next to the reservoir and can now be visited by accessing a small road with a magnificent backdrop of hills, and a road that is covered with many beautiful trees. Certainly a sight not to be missed, if you want to experience the very center of Sri Lanka. And here I am now on my way back, driving into the beautiful colors of the Dambulla sunset. Thanks for watching and see you in my next episode, where I'll be exploring the ancient city of Anuradhapura. It is the Ceylonese political and religious capital that flourished for over 1,300 years, before it was abandoned in the year of 993. Are you also interested why? So don't forget to subscribe and see you back in my 5th episode.